What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched season 1 of Shogun. Finally got through it. We watched it, and we're going to be talking about it. Full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you've watched this whole season. And typically I would do a recap, but this was every episode's like an hour long. It's like mini movies. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time doing a big recap. So just to get everybody caught back up in case you watched this when it came out and you need a reminder of what happened in the season, real quick synopsis via Gemini. Set in 1600s feudal Japan on the brink of civil war, Lord Toranaga, a powerful daimyo facing impeachment by his rivals, finds a valuable pawn in John Blackthorne, an English pilot shipwrecked on his shores. Blackthorne's arrival threatens the Portuguese trade and Catholic influence, giving Toranaga a political advantage. The pilot's fate is tied to Lady Mariko and a noble woman, and a devout Christian who serves his reluctant translator. As the three navigate a complex web of political intrigue, cultural conflict, and imminent warfare. Before we jump into spoilers and our impressions, if you're watching this for some reason and you haven't seen the show, I would recommend you watch it. Simply put, the hype's real. It's worth your time. So go watch it, come back, and hear what we have to say about it. We both watched this season. Chevy, how about you start us off with your general impressions of season 1 of Shogun?
Yeah, so, I mean, forgive me in advance because there was a lot of characters, and I'm not...
I have this.
Oh, yeah, so I'm not going to know all their names, but apparently I'm going to have visuals. So I mean, the quick and easy part, just to kind of just start with that is I have zero complaints about this show. It was a complete joy to watch. I think the way it was handled and the story that was written and the performances and all that was all just like super top notch. I was very happy with it. If I had, in fact, even one complaint at all, I think the intro is kind of lame. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have a couple. I'll start with real quick since we're talking about it. Complaints about the show. Very minor complaints. They're actually just nitpicks. Real quick because I just need to confirm this before I complain about it. I can't see. I'm pretty sure that the guy who played John, Cosmo Jarvis, doesn't have blue eyes, and his contacts or whatever they're doing to his eyes looked weird the whole show.
Okay.
They looked unnaturally blue. Not a big deal, nitpick. And then it's a TV show, so it had to rely a lot on CGI, and for the most part, I think they did a good job with what they could.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, like the CGI rain not affecting everything was kind of weird looking, and the overuse of like bokeh to blur the backgrounds, because it's easier just to blur the background than to actually have a real background behind you. It's CGI. Sometimes it's like kind of distracting for me, but like I'm a camera nerd, so like I was like looking at that constantly, like what the fuck is the bokeh so crazy looking? But it's a TV show, but it had a great budget and things did look fantastic. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But every once in a while the CG was kind of off. But yeah, outside of that, not a whole lot of complaints.
No, I was pretty locked in pretty much every episode we watched. They did a really good job of like keeping your interest peaked while pushing the story forward. They also didn't just like spoil the entire story along the way, which was nice because I know
there was
sometimes
surprises constantly.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to go like, oh well, this is where it's going to go, and like big picture wise, I kind of had like a vague idea, but they definitely kept me guessing, which was really good. Like I said about the performances, I think everyone did a phenomenal job. I believed every character there, and I loved the fact that, and I knew this going into the show, but like obviously like you're in Japan, and so they treat it as if you're supposed to be there, and so like 90 +% of the show is in Japanese with a bunch of Japanese actors and stuff like that, and then you have the occasional foreigner, whether they're Portuguese or English or whatever, right? And they're kind of in there, and you can tell they did a really good job with like obviously the Catholics in the show have already been like implanted for a while, and so they're a little more used to the culture, and they're familiar with the language, and they can like I don't want to say integrate, but coexist a little better, obviously, than when we have our they are English, right? Ship in the beginning of the show, where
At the very least, John is.
Yeah, they obviously show up, know nothing of the culture they're getting injected to, and obviously from both parties' perspectives, view the other as barbarians. typical language barrier problem. And I think they did that really well, because at the beginning of the show, you get this really just like hostile version of each culture, like clashing with each other. But by the end of the show, you have John Blackthorne, still not obviously like, he's not Japanese, obviously, but he understands the culture way better, and has there was a couple moments even in the show where specifically when he got to meet some of his surviving crew later, where he kind of had second thoughts about like reintegrating with them, and that was kind of
when they hadn't acclimated the same way he did,
yeah,
through their experience.
They were treating it as if it was just like, the whorehouse down the street, and that was just going to be their existence now, and unless for some reason they could get home, right? Versus he's been like trying to survive, and he's been kind of stuck as a they don't necessarily call him a prisoner, they give him a different title, but he's basically a prisoner, of Lord what's his name again? Toranaga, yeah. Which also, another thing I really like about the show is like his character comes off very like how I expected him to, but then by the end of the show, with the way he's like scheming and stuff like that, the whole thing did a really good job of keeping that kind of like secret.
You don't know what he's up to.
Yeah, they really did a good job of making him just like sneaky about all of that.
Yeah, that actually was really interesting, because throughout the show, it definitely seems like he's like scheming and plotting, but they do a really good job of like making it feel like he's not in control anymore. But then he had a plan the whole time, and it didn't really resonate as like the whole time it felt like that. But the very like last episode and a half, where he starts revealing even more of like what he did, it not only felt like he was scheming and plotting, it felt like he was like a puppet master controlling shit in almost like a fucking ominous way.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa, he has way more going on than it felt like throughout the whole show.
Yeah, well, with Kashigi Yabushige, he at the end when they're having that conversation, even kind of like asked him straight up, like, how does it feel to control the wind, as if like basically he's playing God.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it had like a really cool almost like reveal of like, you've been in more control than anyone thought.
Yeah. While being, the one who's supposed to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're against all of Japan.
Yeah.
Right. So super cool way they handled his character development throughout the show. I also really like Lady Maruko's role in the show, because she obviously is in a position that a lot of the female characters are in this, which is just like they're just doing the thing that they're told to do, basically. But she's also, she's dealing with the stained family name, and then but also like serving her lord, and then like she has this complicated relationship with her husband, and then like mixed feelings with oh my god, my brain. John Blackthorne. There's just she just has a lot of things like she's dealing with the whole time, and she keeps through like 90% of the show that's like super composed about the whole thing, until she has these little moments where she has like breakdowns, obviously, because she's human.
That makes us way more powerful though, because she's so composed. She's so dedicated to her job and what she's supposed to do and how she's supposed to present herself. But then in the moments where she does break, it's like she had to have gotten pushed to like, extreme levels to break that composure. So it makes it way more impactful.
Yeah, for sure. And then one other character I just want to kind of talk about real quick was Usami Fuji, I believe, was the gal who very early on, her family basically
consort.
Her family got disgraced, and all had to be killed basically as forgiveness to Japan, and that included her very young child. Her family line basically had to be ended, which was crazy. And then she's like literally stuck in this place between like being honor bound, but then also just like grieving and just wanting to die. Like, and like you watch her really struggle in the beginning of the show, and by the end of it, like finding her peace, and like finding some form of connection with John. Obviously not in the way that they were trying to initially kind of push her onto him. But and that was also really good character growth to see as well, because we got to see her basically rightfully an emotional mess, but also like in this era of Japan, just everyone being, honor bound to everything they do, unless you're just, an outlier, which don't last. So, yeah, that was a really good character development as well. Similarly with Lady Marco's husband, though lesser so, because we kind of just don't see him for a lot of the show. You see him very early on, very angry, and then all of a sudden he's just like has found respect for John at the very least towards the end. So
I kind of interpret it as like after everything that's happened and what needs to happen now, especially at the point in the last episode where they're pulling the ropes together, it was almost like a showing of unity, which was really fucking cool. It was like unspoken. It was like he's coming to help pull the boat out, but that kind of in itself is like we all have to fucking work together.
Well, it's also like the first time we saw him since his conversation with his wife, where he had offered for both of them to die, basically, to just be done with it all. Which,
like, that for me was like his lowest point, because he's definitely like a troubled character.
For sure.
In fact, I really liked his fucking character.
Yeah.
Even though he's an asshole, like many of the characters in the show, he's complex. He has layers. Similar to when I watched Game of Thrones, and early on I was like, I like Jaime Lannister. And people are like, you do? I'm like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but he's honor bound. And I think that's kind of fucking cool that he still holds himself to a certain caliber. And he was similar to that. Not quite the same like character type, obviously, that Jaime Lannister couldn't exist in, that era of Japan. But he's like this like troubled dude. His fucking marriage is falling apart. He doesn't really have the eloquence to be able to communicate anything with his wife, and she's
just a warrior.
Done with him. He's a fucking honor-bound warrior. He's down to fucking murder for his lord. Like, he's like completely honor-bound, but he's like a piece of shit who drinks and fucking hits his wife, and like gets like weird with John, because obviously he senses in his own right, he senses something's up.
Sure.
So what dude wouldn't be upset? So I really liked his character in the layering, because he's stuck between being this like stoic, I have to just be a warrior, but also trying to get through his life not being as great as it could be, to the point where at his lowest point he's like, because in this culture, fucking we should just kill each other, or not kill each other, kill ourselves.
Right.
And then after that, I feel like after that low point, where do you go from there, especially now that she's gone? But to fucking soldier on, basically.
For sure.
So, which I fucking loved.
Yeah, and then I don't want to like obviously talk about every character at length. I just want to give some
too. So
I just want to give some examples of like performances that I really enjoyed, and like the fact that these characters developed throughout 10 episodes, which was fantastic. I also really appreciate, the same way I appreciate in Game of Thrones, that not to compare them too much, obviously, but
no details on Game of Thrones.
No. But I'm just saying both shows were okay with taking important characters and writing them out of the show.
Sure.
Right. Which I always will give props to, because it's very common in like a lot of like stories that people get really attached to their own characters, and they'll find a way for them to just never get hurt,
or they're trying to please fans as well, because they like them. But I think it adds stakes to a world if people can die, even the ones that you do like. This show did a really good job on making deaths feel understandable. Like I get that, makes sense. Like, it sucks, but it wasn't like shock value typically. Even though they did leave one death on a cliffhanger, or a couple of them, but for the most part, like, it wasn't just for shock factor. Like, really did a lot for the story.
No, they did a good job of just like kind of emphasizing like the culture, of the time, obviously, of like, again, being honor bound, and like even if that means like killing yourself, right? Sorry, YouTube. So it was just portrayed really, really well, and obviously like. Even in those moments, you see these people, and every single time that it happened, when they were put in a position of committing seppuku, you can kind of see them like looking for their resolve. Minus one instance where dude just pulled the trigger, no problem. But it was really well done. Where like they're doing the ceremony, they're preparing themselves, and then you can kind of see them going through the mental steps to like to do that, and then also doing a good job of showing us the viewer, because a lot of us are Western, right? And probably don't know that much about the culture. You can't assume everyone does. Explaining what the second is and like why you would have that, and especially in the case of like Lady Mirako, with she has more of a complicated situation where she's not only Japanese, but she's also a Christian, and so she has this belief structure. Suicide sends you to hell, right? So,
which I think it's such an interesting. It's like 1600, so it's like it's interesting that Christianity has made its way into Japan to the point where a country that's not like overly religious, they have certain religions, but nothing like Christianity, that people even in politics like would respect the rule sets of Christianity.
Well, two of the counselors were Christians.
Yeah. It's just interesting that they're even like humoring it of like, oh, you can't do that, she's a Christian or whatever. It's like even in Japan in the 1600s, it's really interesting.
Yeah. A couple more things before I pass it on to you. One thing I do want to bring up as well, outside of obviously like you had brought up the bokeh thing. I didn't notice it too much, but I don't have an eye for photography, obviously. But the scenery in the show was beautiful,
Gorgeous, yeah.
Really romanticized, the country, and I am a sucker for that. Regardless of it being Japan or not, I love environment footage and shots and stuff like that. So it was gorgeous. And then the show was really good about building tense moments, which I really liked, because there were moments where I was just like waiting for like the tension to like chill, and then like they would deliver on it, and I just like, holy shit, dude, like that was crazy.
Well, that scene where that dude who's Tornaga's like upper dude, like
his best friend
seppuku, that shit was brutal.
Oh yeah, it was
that
hard.
whole part. I was like, holy fuck, dude.
And they didn't let that tension like release quickly. It was like this really long, drawn out tension that had to build, and then like that's a perfect example of a moment where like you half expect the writer to wait to the last minute and be like, hold on, here's the ex machina, like they're gonna be fine, right?
And then they just commit to it,
and I was like, whoa.
And then there's like a bigger thing to the plan, basically, of that happening. It's like a sacrifice, basically, but it's just like,
it was for the big plan.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Lady Mirako, right? Like it's not about the individual.
It's just rough because like Tornaga throughout the show is like Lady Mariko, super composed because he's a leader. He's got to be a certain way. But that scene, like Hiroyuki Sanada, who I fucking love since Twilight Samurai, but he in a lot of his movies always gets like typecast as certain types of characters. And in this, he kind of felt like typecast for a little bit there. But as the show started progressing, we started seeing more from him. And I'm like, oh, he's actually getting to like act here. And that scene, we got like some really good subtle acting from him that was both like having to stick with committing to letting that guy commit seppuku, but also emotionally being like, fuck, it sucks.
Yeah,
his best friend.
Yeah.
You could see the pain in his face, and I was like, this is like so fucking good.
Yeah.
So he did a really good job with that. But yeah, that scene was brutal. There's a couple brutal parts in the show that I was watching. I'm like, this is fucked up, but really good, really good.
Yeah, and this show's by no means like an action flick, right? Which I appreciate. It's a political drama.
Yeah.
But there was a couple action scenes, and whoever planned those out did a really good job. One of the recent episodes we watched here, I don't remember if it was 9 or 10, but I think it was 9, where they're fighting their way from the, for lack of a better term, ninjas, I guess. And John's just blasting people in a sword
like
fight.
reach in, grab the guy, and just shove him through the wall.
So crazy. Yeah. So I like it was just funny to see, because obviously like people are like, they're aware of guns, but it's not like a commonplace item, and he's just fucking shooting people,
blasting
left and right.
people. Yeah, it was satisfying.
They got a guy running at them, and typically you would wait for them to get close so you can engage, and he just literally goes, nope,
shoots him
we're not doing
down
this.
the way. Yeah.
So and it was just done really well. It's really fun to watch. So But yeah, I think those are pretty much the major beats I have. I do, like I said, I think the whole show from beginning to end was great. I think the political chess game that was being played too was just like a lot of fun to watch. I especially like the episode 9, Lady Mariko kind of just like playing like no matter what choice you guys make, you're fucked. You let me go and everyone else wants to go, or you don't let me go and you're basically
Gonna have people rise up against them if
you're admitting you're keeping people prisoner.
Yeah.
Right. It was just like such a cool episode for that. So overall, I love the show. It was fantastic. You looked it up earlier. There's a season 2, possibly a 3 coming out. I don't want to look too far ahead, but I'm looking forward to season 2 because
definitely
it's not resolved. Outside of like, we basically got told what's likely going to happen,
Though
but I would like to see it played out.
they played it really smart because the ending obviously wants to continue, but it kind of forecasts
Implies,
what they
yeah.
expect to happen. And so if the show ended there, which I would hate, but if it ended there, you could just kind of end it with like, okay, that was just a story told and we understand their ambitions, and that might have been where it went. But I think it ends in like a really cool way, but it obviously wants to move into a season 2. And after people won awards, it's like obviously going to get greenlit. And so we're going to get it. And when that does happen, we'll be doing episodic reviews for sure. Cause I'm invested. So
For sure. But yeah, I mean, generally, yeah, those are my thoughts. It was a great time. And I, like you said, or doing the episodic reviews, I'm also like looking forward to doing that because I am also invested and like, just so curious what they can do going forward at this point. Cause obviously the way it ended, kind of just implies where it's going to go, but you could easily write in more drama. Right. So, we'll see.
yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes in season 2, just because like war's coming, so they're gonna have to do something. But then they also kind of implied that they can avoid war. So we'll probably get more of how this season was, where there is action, but it's not about the action. Because like you said, I'm not watching this for the action. I'm a sucker for Japanese shit, just like you are though. So a dude pulls a katana, I'm ready to see someone start slicing people up because I'm into it. That scene where Marco just told that guy to kill that guy, and he's went boom, boom, and just killed him instantly. I'm like, that was sick. That was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit. But yeah, I expect season 2 to just be more political, intrigue, espionage, like just politics being played, but then people getting assassinated. It was interesting that we got to actually see like ninjas in like the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
And not in a cheesy way, but it was like obviously they're ninjas because they're using like throwing weapons and I forgot the thing with the chain. Yeah, but it was cool. It was cool to see. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love this show. This season was fantastic. Probably one of the better TV shows that I've ever seen. Big praise. That's up there with, for me, like, True Detective and most of Game of Thrones. There's Fargo was fantastic as well. I need to go back and watch some of the newer seasons. I only watched like the first 2, I think. Maybe a little bit of 3, I don't remember. But yeah, so I'm not like a big TV guy, but there's definitely good TV shows out there, and this is definitely among them now. It had an easy in for me just because I like Japanese stuff, and as long as you don't do it in a cheesy way or an overly Western way, I would have liked it no matter what, likely, just because I'm into this stuff. I used to watch Japanese movies all the time and anime, all that shit. But it definitely exceeded my expectations. I really appreciated the story. Was super complex and layered. A lot of things going on, which I really liked. The story was pretty simple, but the twists and turns actually were surprising, which I really liked. I was multiple times like, oh shit, like when things happened, so that was cool. I also like that you basically have this council. They're all running things for the I forgot what he's called, the future
Shogun?
No, the kid.
Well, yeah, he'll become the Shogun, but
there's a different word for it. But anyway, they're all kind of like plotting, but working together at the same time outside of Tornaga, because like I forgot his name, but the guy who runs the council basically said that this whole event's gonna
Ishido.
tear us apart basically. So their unity's fragile. So it's interesting to kind of see that, but also just using this kid as basically a vessel of how they can get their political means met, which is just politics in real life, but just using things for that. But really fun to watch. Really cool to see how they kind of went through that. But then the characters, I think all the characters are good. I think all the performances were good. I don't think anybody did a bad job. I was kind of turned off at the beginning at John Blackthorne.
I was worried in the beginning.
Cosmo Jarvis, because I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, is he an American with like doing a British accent, or is he British but he's trying to be like of like 1600s? I don't know what they would sound like back then. It sounds like really gruff and ridiculous, but then I'm thinking like, he's not in Japan, like he's interacting with all these people who are like in higher echelons of like society. These are like warriors and like generals and like leaders, and he's not. He's just like this.
He's a sailor.
He's a sailor.
Yeah.
So he's a simple dude. He's kind of a basic guy, and not even just like a clash of his culture and theirs, but like he's not of the same class as them. If he was in the society.
Yeah.
So he does come out kind of like gruff and simple, but that's kind of the point. So he grew on me over time, specifically in his more, basic, more brash ways of handling things. But they didn't do it too much, because this show's not necessarily about him saving them. He's just there as a vessel for us to have something to relate to in a world that is different than what we're used to. And so it's just interesting to see him be in this alien world for him, basically, of like the culture's completely different than what he's used to. They don't speak the same language. I loved the whole translation thing throughout the show of him not knowing Japanese at all and then learning a couple words. And by the end of the show, he's kind of a little more advanced than I am in German at this point. But it's kind of fun for me to like see a show where he's like picking one word out of a sentence and going like, I know that, because that's how I feel right now. I'm just like, I know that word, but I don't know what the fuck you just said. So that was really cool to see that kind of evolution. I also thought it was interesting, but also sad at the same time when Marco had passed and there's no translator anymore. And like multiple times he's talking with people and Pierre's like, how do we communicate?
Yeah.
You barely know anything, and I don't speak what you speak, except for that one guy that Tornaga had, who could speak pretty well. But that was like kind of like, oh man, she did a lot. She was the glue between this whole situation. Now she's gone, so it's kind of crazy. Also wild that they killed her character off, but I kind of thought it was going to happen. Especially when the show first came out, people were really talking her up and her performance. And her performance was fantastic. What's her name? Anna Sawai?
Yeah.
She did really good. I loved her character. But yeah, I kind of expected something to happen to her because people kept talking about her. When talking about characters, though, like I said, I think they all did a great job. It was awesome to see Hiroyuki Sanada play this role. Like I said, the typecast thing, I was kind of worried about it, but this got to let him breathe and act, and I really appreciate that, because I get so sick of seeing him in a lot of Western movies, and he's just like a quiet Japanese dude every time, and I'm just like, he's had range. If you watch Japanese movies, he was great there. Also, Tadanobu Asano, love this fucking dude since like, well, Ichi the Killer, of course, everybody knows that one, but even like him as Temujin in Mongol, he's such an awesome actor, and it's cool to see him, and this role is perfect for him. This is the type of character he fucking plays.
Yeah, he was really good in the show.
And I love that he was like the kind of like watching out for himself and kind of playing people kind of character, but also like was kind of just like blunt about like everything. But also there's like a hint of loyalty to him, which was especially showed off at the very end. I loved that conversation. That felt almost like not quite as intense, but it almost had like a Robert De Niro, Al Pacino thing going on where they're like talking at the end of Heat, because he's about to die, and I'm like, this is so good that they're like having this conversation because he's about to die. And then when he fucking just stabs himself instantly, we had talked about it before, but like everyone else before they commit seppuku is like, this is the end. I have to commit to this. I'm doing it. And then it sucks while it's happening. He just, as soon as it was ready to go, he just went boom, and they like looked back at him and smiled, and and he smiled back, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Toranaga, and just chopped his head off, and I was like, that was so good, so good. I loved that. But yeah, he was perfect for that. That character. As soon as I saw him, I was like, dude, he's gonna kill this. You mentioned her, but I also think I didn't hear enough about her from things I'd heard about the show before. But Moeko Hoshi, the person who played Fuji, the consort, she was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved her character. She the levels of like grief, but also just having to do this job that she doesn't want to do, being John's consort, but then slowly they kind of have this like weird odd couple relationship where she's like taking care of stuff around him, and like he had the fish hanging out there that were like rotting, and then accidentally got a dude killed because he didn't realize in the culture when he said if someone touches that, kill him.
Right.
And he did, and they killed him, and he's just like, holy shit, I just killed somebody. That's crazy because the culture is completely different. But her, you know, before that happened, just dealing with the fish situation because he wanted it to be like that, but you can tell she doesn't want to do this, but she's doing it.
Well, my favorite part about her not wanting to do that, right, was like at one point, she's trying. She's like, just, you know, let me die. I don't want to do this, blah blah blah, type of thing, and whatever. And then like at some point, someone, I can't remember the details at this point because we watched it so long ago, but someone threatens John and she pulls the pistol on them. And I was just like, whoa, because like that's her job.
The honor bound,
right?
thing.
So, and I was just like, that was a good scene. I liked that a lot. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was awesome though. And then the end, I'm glad they got, because for a while there she wasn't around because we were in, was that Osaka?
Yeah, we were in Osaka.
And so we weren't seeing her for a while. But when he came back, she was there, and they had some good dialogue. But when they went on the boat, I loved that scene. It was really cool.
Kind of helping each other. Yeah.
Both of them kind of like sending off and letting go. Not necessarily letting go, but, you know, just honoring the people that they've lost, basically. Also, the dude who played Toranaga's brother, as soon as that guy showed up, I'm like, this guy's a bad guy. Because just the way he looked and the way he's acting, I'm like...
Yeah, he was a tool.
I was like, he's either going to be like a really cool like sidekick, or he's like going to betray people because he seems like an asshole.
Yeah.
But really quickly, as soon as he started drinking, he was, you know, revealing a lot. And I was like, okay, he's a dick. But he did a good job. He had the look for it too. I was like, this guy just looks like an asshole. He's acting like an asshole.
Yeah.
The guy who played the was he Catholic? The priest?
Tommy Bastel.
Is that Tommy Bastel? He doesn't look like him.
Well, he's got hair.
It's weird. It doesn't even look like him. He did a good job. He, you know, I one of my favorite parts was in the earlier part of the show where him, Mariko, and Toranaga were talking, and they all speak Japanese, but only they speak English. So I loved that at the beginning too, when Toranaga was like talking with anybody who's speaking English, and then having Marco translate, and the way they did that, and then eventually it was just you were just listening to her translate, and you weren't hearing, like, you're barely hearing the Japanese.
It was slowly fading.
It was like really smart the way they did that. I fucking loved that. Yeah, and everybody did a great job. I have no complaints about any of the actors. Like I said, the only one that kind of I had a problem with was Cosmo Jarvis, but he grew on me. But I still, the eyes, man. Every episode I'm like, he looks like when people have like fake blue contacts, and he probably did, but it just looks so weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel like an asshole if that's how his eyes actually look, though. I can't tell in this picture, but they look darker to me. So,
yeah. Well, they might have done that too, just to like emphasize him being a foreigner.
Well, he sticks out. Yeah, I assume that's why they did it. But still, I feel like they could have done a little better. Maybe, I don't know. But again, nitpick, just like the CGI thing.
Sure.
But then a lot of the CGI, I'm like, I'm glad they got the budget to do this. So to be able to tell a story like this on TV is awesome. So a movie, it would be super expensive, and you want to get 10 hours of this story. So
yeah, you'd have to condense it to 2.5.
Yeah, so. And so to budget that across 10 things that are an hour long, I get it. So,
yeah.
And I really appreciated a lot of the, like you said, the scenery was beautiful, of course, but then like a lot of the real/CG rendered like castles and stuff was really neat to kind of see in like a 3D way that kind of gives you this idea of what it possibly could have looked like back then. There's one scene where it showed Osaka Castle, which you've been to.
Mm-hmm.
But
very close.
But just seeing the way they portrayed like the river and the walls and stuff, I'm like, that would be really hard to invade.
Yeah.
That's cool to see. Just a huge moat and one bridge, and then everything's like changed. I remember back in the day playing Dynasty Warriors, and you're like running through castles, and I'm like, man, these levels are like really basic. Every room's just squared, and it's just like, no, that's how it was. Those are kill boxes to like, they break in, you have time to start thinning them out. They break into the next area, you got time to start. It's a tower defense. You're just trying to thin them out before they can get to the actual castle. So that was neat. I appreciated the attention to detail and how authentic it seemed as somebody who doesn't know a lot about Japanese history, but knows some. The music was fantastic. I really liked it, especially certain scenes. The music really hit when it needed to, especially at the end of the show, the final episode. The music was just perfect for the ending. And what else? The action was not the center point. Sometimes it was just kind of like there to show us that people are fighting, and that's fine. But sometimes there were some really cool scenes. We even got a little bit of the classic Japanese cinema imagery of a ninja killing someone, blood hitting the wall.
Yeah.
Always appreciate that. It's something you only get in like Japanese cinema because they have those walls basically. But I always love seeing that. And yeah, overall, I absolutely love the show. I thought it was fantastic. I want more. So that's a good thing, I guess. But now I have to wait till season 2 or rewatch this. But this is a show I think I could rewatch. I really liked the characters a lot. That's one of the biggest things that will get me, going back to watch a show is if I just enjoyed the dialogue between the characters, not the action. Just I want to, be around those characters and watch them interact and stuff. Even though a lot of sad stuff, like Tornaga's son falling and cracking his head.
That was so crazy.
Yeah. At first, like, that sucks. That's how he died. But at the same time, it kind of showcased he was just so inexperienced but hasty to do what he felt like he needed to do that it led to his downfall, or not downfall, his demise.
Yeah.
Of like, he decided, I'm going to fucking kill this guy.
Well, imagine also, because like he was like talking like that for like 2 episodes, right? Where he just wasn't. He was like excited for his first time, and he was, he was all about.
He's amping it up.
He was so ready to like do his part for country, basically, and
everybody else is just
I should say.
Like, you gotta chill out, dude. It's like,
it's not that glamorous. Like, war sucks.
You definitely haven't killed anybody or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though he was the one who killed the guy on the horse, right? Or did he? Yeah.
Or at least he was a part of the...
Part of it, yeah. He didn't.
It's a little vague for me right now, sorry.
Yeah.
We watched this in parts, so...
we got encumbered with new seasons of anime that was already hard for us to catch up on, with working overtime at the time, and then having to watch this that's already out. So I was like prioritizing the anime because it's fresh, but... Yeah, it kind of sucks we took such a long break.
Yeah, so I got some spotty spots now, but
we
but he was definitely
correct.
The responsible party because he got chewed out by his dad about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene of him just like running through, like, because the whole moment's like set up, right? You got this like cool tension happening where like right after he's with the consort, and she just kind of like makes this like implication like she's gonna like do some crazy things for him, and then she disappears. I'm like, oh, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's happening now?
And then like the cards start falling into place the way you would totally expect them to happen. The scene's playing out exactly. And it would have been cool if it would have worked out that way anyways. But like, and then like that happens. You're like, what the hell was that? So, and it's just such a terrible, like, situation. Like, and again, it was a curveball. Like, I didn't expect it. Like,
curveball for sure.
Slipping on a rock.
Two curveballs, because first off, they show up after, them saying like, okay, we're just going to go. It's fine. But then he's like, no, I'm going to go kill him.
I'm gonna go take care of my
and they
uncle.
show up and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, kill that guy. Like get him. But then he slips and cracks his head. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but in turn, is a weird, because of their customs, right? He was granted, 40 days of mourning or something like that. I can't remember the exact time, but he basically bought him a month and a half of time to scheme at that point. So it was obviously unfortunate, and I hate to say this, but it was also fortuitous. So
yeah, well, every death has been fortuitous, which is kind of messed up because it in a show that really emphasizes the culture of how easy it is to just have someone killed, get killed, or kill yourself. Seeing so many people die as mechanisms to progress Tornaga's ambitions is both cool in the honor sense of like their lives weren't wasted, but also it's like, damn, like all these people you care about are just getting wasted for like him. So it's kind of conflicting, but I like it. But we were talked about, it's good that they're even willing to kill off characters that you like.
Right.
I was getting ready to wrap up, but I wanted to mention, is Fumi Nikaido the person, Ochiba, is that the girl who's
Point for me.
this one right here?
Okay.
Is that the one that's
Miracle's childhood friend.
Yeah. She was really good. At first I was like, this chick's creepy.
Yeah.
There's just something about her that was like haunting. She's like way too quintessential, like composed Japanese. Like even her eye movement, everything's super slow and smooth and like perfect.
Like borderline Venkat.
Yeah, it's like she's a robot. She's like that good at doing that. And I was like, is she like pulling the strings in the background? Is she like gonna do something creepy? But then like when she starts having like dialogue with like Mariko and stuff, I was just like, oh, there's somebody in there. That's crazy. Like there's like more to her.
Well, even like when her mom's passing away, and her mom's like, you got to stop playing these games. Like,
yeah. So like, again, the performance was fantastic because like what you're seeing most of the time, that's the facade. That's how she has to be. But then also, there's somebody back there that she was able to convey so well with her emotions. And I thought her performance was awesome. It was just funny because at first I'm like, this chick's creepy. Like she's just something haunting about her. I don't know, but there's more to it. So, and then is this the leader of the council?
Yes,
Ishido.
Yeah.
I'm not used to him without facial hair, so I was looking at him. I'm like, is that him?
Yeah.
He also did really good. I've seen him in other movies. I can't remember what I've seen him in, but I've seen him before.
For sure.
Takeshiro Hira. He did really good though. He plays a dude that you just don't like. He did a fantastic job at that, especially everything that he did. But the whole permit to leave thing, he played that so well. Of like, you're free to leave, and then they try to leave, and they're like, you need a permit, and they're like, okay. And then later, when he lets her go, and then they're like, what about us? He's like, no one's a prisoner here.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you piece of shit, dude.
Yeah.
He plays like just a smarmy asshole like so well. So he's definitely doing a great job at just being a character you love to hate.
For sure.
Overall, I could keep going. This show's awesome. Really enjoyed it. One of the best TV shows I've seen. Can't wait for season 2. Performance is great. Everything's great. And I think that's all I got. Would you grade it?
We don't want to recommend it.
Do we recommend on this channel?
I don't know. So I'll just do grades. So
I recommend to everybody. If you like good TV shows, especially if you like Japanese stuff, you have to watch it. If you like Japanese stuff, you have to watch it. It's awesome that FX funded something like this that feels authentic. I remember hearing Hiroyuki Sanada say that he wouldn't have signed on to this if it was going to be not authentic to Japan and not have Japanese actors speaking Japanese. So it's awesome that we got this.
It's a pretty bold move to effectively make a foreign movie,
a Japanese TV show with a budget that's Western, because even though the anime sector in Japan is fucking booming, they don't really have a Hollywood. They haven't. I mean, like I said, I've watched a shitload of Japanese movies and I love them to death. But they all feel like indie movies.
Definitely.
And so they don't really have that big budget movie thing that they can do. But Western, or at least in the United States, we make movies. We make TV shows that with big budgets. And so it's really cool to see those two things come together in a way that didn't feel like, somebody just making something that looked Japanese, that had cool action, but didn't have any substance to it, I guess, and didn't feel authentic. So I recommend it to anybody who's into Japanese stuff. The reason I wasn't going to do recommendations, though, is I assume anybody who watched this far has likely watched the show.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah.
I I honestly, and this will lead into my grade. The fact that they were able to make a mostly Japanese TV show, and that it was able to not only be successful, but to get like praise and have the amount of attention it got, even though most of it is not in English, is a feat for sure. Because especially here in America, not too many people speak other languages and are usually kind of closed off to reading subtitles.
Yeah. It's getting better though.
Anime's
doing a lot of work with that. So.
But that being said, like I said, I don't really have any issues with it, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it an A+.
I'm also giving it A+. Like I said, it's one of my favorite TV shows I've seen. There's not a lot of them, so if you're in that category for me, I have to give you an A+ because you're better than most things that I've seen, I guess, when it comes to TV. So
for sure.
But yeah, they handled this really well. Everyone was fantastic. My nitpicks don't affect my grade at all. There's things I noticed. I'll watch any movie and I can nitpick something. So
for sure.
And it's just like more fun in my head too, because like I like movies and how they're made. So like when I'm looking at that bokeh looking weird, I'm like, I start thinking about the production. And I'm like, oh, that's a good trick though. That makes sense. So yeah, I kind of like it. Just like the context. I'm like, it could have been better, but whatever. I can accept it. I watch cheaper movies with worse effects. So. And enjoy them. I love Versus, and that movie was made on like 20 grand, made in 7 days. So
and it's full of cheese.
Yep, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah, A+, easy A+. It's awesome. The hype was real for sure. I'm glad people won awards. I need to go back and see who won what awards, but it's just cool that Japanese actors are winning awards here. That's awesome because I never thought I'd see that back in the day. So
true.
But they deserve it. This was definitely really, really good. And can't wait for season 2. Anything else?
That's it.
Let's know in the comments. What'd you think of Shogun season 1? It's been a while since it came out. Maybe you watched it recently. Maybe you watched it when it first came out. General thoughts, impressions, things you want to talk about that we didn't talk about. It's 10 episodes, an hour piece. Couldn't have talked about everything. So if there's something you want to talk about,
especially with the way we watched it,
yeah. And if we missed something or we're inaccurate about something, just remind us because, like I said, it was spaced out. So give us some grace on that. But yeah, favorite characters, least favorite characters. Do you have any nitpicks? Do you have any complaints about the show? That's completely fine and welcome, as long as it's constructive. And where do you think things are going? Where do you hope things are going? Are you excited for season 2? Are you excited for season 3? When I looked it up, it said they were already looking into season 3, which makes sense for TV, I guess. They greenlight like 5 seasons at a time. And yeah, thoughts about Shogun? Let us know in the comments. I've been Seth. This has been Chevy. Until the next review, which will be for Ron Mahaf, we will talk to you guys later.